Our next participant, Colleen Clement. Colleen was born and raised in Kennewick, Washington. Without Hanford, she would have never come into existence. Her grandfather was transferred to Hanford from Pennsylvania as an engineer during the very beginning of the site. With a landscape photographer as a father, she gained a great appreciation for the unique beauty of the region. Through her artwork, she studies the creation-destruction paradox. With her series Secret Layers, she explored this paradox in the context of her family's history and current circumstances. Colleen?
Thanks, Nick. So as Nick said, if it wasn't for the Hanford site, I wouldn't be here. And there's multiple circumstances that play into that. Like he said, my grandfather was transferred from Pennsylvania to be kind of an engineer extracting the plutonium in the very early stages of the site. And my grandmother came over from Alabama. And also, I just have like 3 generations of family that have worked at the Hanford nuclear site. So there's my grandfather who worked as an engineer, and then my dad, John Clement. He's a pretty well-known landscape photographer in the Tri-Cities region, and he's been photographing Eastern Washington for over almost 40 years now. And one of his first jobs was actually working for Hanford, taking pictures of the sites, which was where a lot of the references for my series Secret Layers came from, was looking at these photographs that he took in the 70s and 60s. And now actually my sister-in-law works balancing the reading devices for the radiation, which is, it's just really interesting that there has been such a huge family history. And it was really interesting growing up. Oh, I didn't even know they were on the screen. It was really interesting growing up in Hanford and having the dad that I did, because we were really adventurous, and he would take me to all these amazing sites to look at the Hanford Reach, or to look at Horseheaven Hills, or even to look at the Palouse outside of the Tri-Cities region, and to see these beautiful landscapes, you know, that were created by the Ice Age floods with just amazing sunsets. You can't see this kind of sunsets here in Seattle. And just to have kind of that looming, strange family history behind that, of how, and that's where my admiration for this kind of destruction-creation paradox comes from, is to realize that, like, my family was responsible for the creation of this really destructive thing, but also to appreciate it, because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't have happened. And there are a lot of jobs wouldn't have been created, in Tri-Cities probably wouldn't exist at all. So in my pieces, what I did is I would take muslin and stretch it on canvas board and actually destroy the muslin in kind of the same way that they destroyed the landscape, the actual surface of the soil, digging it up, and a lot of the kind of monumental parts of the site. And then very meticulously, sometimes even more destructively, would attempt to mend the actual surface of the muslin or the canvas. And I think throughout this process, it definitely re-articulated that we are responsible for the destruction, but that also that shouldn't deter us from recreating something new out of the destruction that is actually can be pretty and can help us appreciate our history. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for letting me be here, and it's been an awesome process. So thank you.